Hi there. I have a question for you. Have you ever built anything so awesome you can't wait to show it off? Well, I have, and I'll show it to you. And if you don't yet know me, my name is Kimberly Inez Mays. I'm an AI educator and strategist helping mission driven leaders use AI with clarity, judgment, and confidence. I build tools, real workflows, and I make AI make sense. I deliver millions of aha moments, and I can't wait to give you one. So let's get started. All right, so in this video, I am doing my first ever walkthrough of Story to Spine. I'll give you a little bit of the history of how I came up with the app and my partner, who is I wouldn't say she's the brains behind the app. I think I'm the brains and she's the heart, which there's one is not more important than the other, but I'll explain why. So my partner's name, shout out to Lisa, is Lisa Charles. So she is a master story extractor. She is a coach. She's a phenomenal woman. And if you're not following her, you should be. But she has a method to extract stories from people so that they can use it in their businesses and in their lives. And she's a former federal prosecutor that takes a story from somebody, digs deeper, excavates it, that's what she calls it, and gets the true meaning. And it's only when you get the true meaning of your story can it be impactful for those that you want to help. And this is true whether you are a solopreneur, coach, consultant, author, speaker, or even in an org too. If you want to create a mission statement, if you want to create a framework of any sort, or if you're thinking, hey, what is it that we do and why do we do it? And what's the story behind our why? It can be used in a multiple of ways. So how do we take this institutional brilliance of a person and put it into technology and use AI to augment the awesome person that you are, that she is, and that we all are, and use that to augment to serve more people at scale. So that's exactly what we've built together, and it's called the Story to Spine application, and it's part of her program where she does take you through the process, but this is a supplement to it so that if someone has a 3 a.m. problem, we ever had 3 a.m. problems or 3 a.m. thoughts where we're like, I better write this down now because this is good. And sometimes if we can't sleep, we're just writing, or thinking, and that's good. But sometimes you're just left with scattered notes or just trying to find the deeper meaning of things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at 3 a.m. But if it's a time where your coach is not available to you, you may be saying, hey, well, by the time we have our session, the thought may have already passed. So this is what this application does. It really takes the story and then extracts the story using her intellectual property, which I'm not going to divulge of exactly the questions that are being asked and how it's being asked and the special sauce that goes behind the scenes, but it's taking her special framework of asking questions and it's drilling it down so that the story starts emerging, and we call them story beats. And each turning point, pivotal decision, breakthrough, aha moment in a story gets recorded into a beat. And then from there, all the story beats become the mission. And the mission is the part of the story that, or actually, the mission statement is what you would say when someone says, what do you do? Right? What is your mission? And then we don't stop there. Every business, every coach, every organization has a process, or not process, a framework or a series of frameworks, but at least one. And that framework really needs to be named. Like, what is it? How do you take people from point A to point B? Or how do you take companies from point A to point B? What is the process and what's that process called? And then your book. A lot of people are authors and speakers. And if you're an author, speaker, coach, influencer, if you want to create something that's impactful, a book is a phenomenal way to do it. I know many of us in the space have contributed chapters to a book or been part of books, but what about your own book? What about your story that can't fit into 1,800 words, right? What about having your own book that is perfectly outlined and aligned with the pivotal and crucial points of your story? So this app does that. And then lastly, if I summoned you to speak next week, 2 weeks from now, tomorrow, virtually or in person, do you have an outline for your talk based on the story and the the change that you want to see made in the world, the result that you get. And most of the time, yes, you might have one, but you may not feel super duper confident in it. So this takes that all the way through. So I described a process to you. That's the story to the spine extraction method that is part of the app. And without further ado, let's walk through it. So I am looking at my screen, and my screen right here, you can see that this is a demonstration. So first, this is the login screen. And the login screen has different parts of it. It's the story beats, mission, framework, book, talk, and export, right? And I'll be going through this a little quickly because this is a product that is right now only exclusive to those who work with Lisa. But this is an example of the types of things that you can have in your business. If you have a process by which you help people, you can definitely use technology to amplify that. So the story is so important to making sure that you can deliver what it is that you deliver if it is based on your life and lived experience. So when you first get into the app, there is a coach on the side that will talk you through the story or talk you through the questions. And these questions are not fixed. So if you say something, it will instinctively, the way I programmed it, instinctively know to follow up and when to stop. So without further ado, let me start typing a few things. It's like, I built an app to extract, stories. And when I type and I record at the same time, it gets a little wonky. So right now, I told the coach I built an app to extract stories. They say that's a good starting point, but let's go deeper into that and into the why. What life experience shaped you and why you feel compelled to build something that extracts stories? It's like, I just like solving puzzles and building solutions to problems. And this is actually one of my stories. Everything I'm typing in here is true. So it's saying, can you think of a specific time or particular problem you faced where solving a puzzle changed something for you or someone else? Walk me through it. I created story to spine as a way to extract stories, and it's what we are doing now. So this takes you through a lot of follow-up questions, and you may notice it keeps asking questions, asking questions. Is this because I haven't really hit on something that's like a big wow aha moment yet? So it says, you built the very thing we're sitting inside right now that tells me something about conviction, but I want to find the root. So you see how it is not like a regular chat GPT session, but it is really grounded in her process. It's finding the root. Before you built Story to Spine, was there a moment where you watched someone struggle to tell their story or struggle to tell their own and thought there has to be a way? I struggled to tell mine. So now I'm hitting on something. We'll see something in a second. That's where we need to go. That's what it said. That's where we need to go. What happened when you tried to tell your story? What made it specifically hard? I am generally known as the tech girl, and I didn't know if anyone cared about other parts of me. Okay. So now it's thinking. It says that's real tension. It says, was there a specific moment where you felt reduced to the tech girl in a conversation, a room, or reaction? People really seen the full picture. So I know that this demo is running a little bit long because you can see that it just doesn't accept something. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper. All right, I got to take a pause for a moment because my cat is bothering me. Hey, what do you want, cat? All right, forget the cat. So Because this takes a while to demonstrate live, I wanted to demonstrate the coaching aspect of it, but I'm going to demonstrate and show you what the final product looks like when everything is all fully baked. So I am going to go into the demo screen and also pick up my cat. Hang on one second. All right, so here is the demo screen, right? This is a fully baked out session in which you get to see what things look like when it's finally ready. And so right now we're on the story screen. We went through all 6 parts of the process, but I went back to the story screen and now you can see that all of the beats are here, right? And this is just a demo, so this is not real. But this is just a demo one where you can edit some of the beats. So this one is like the failed launch. I spent 2 years building a leadership program which nobody bought, not because it wasn't good, but because I couldn't explain why it was mine to teach. So that is a demo story beat of just a fictitious story, but you know, it's flagged as a breakthrough. I can go press this little edit button and I can edit that. And then next is the mission. So the mission takes everything that the story has in it, all those story beats, and it says, who are you speaking to? What keeps them stuck? What's possible for them? What outcome do they want? And what drives your work? And here is the nice part is every single screen has a coach, has a different flavor of questions. So not everything's a story extraction, but it is also to help create that asset and finalize it. So here's from the story, the failed launch, the discovery, and ignoring my own advice, right? So there's all these beats feeding into one module. Now you have a mission coach. Your story shows someone who had to learn the structure the hard way. Who else is living that life right now? My clients who are busy. And I'm just making stuff up, right? But you can see that there is a coaching aspect to it. So you can literally talk your way through everything and make sure that it is what you need and what you want. You can also refine parts of your mission statement and you can refine parts of your frameworks. I just went down one level deeper. So from the mission comes the framework and it asks you, like, how do you get the results for people? And how do you transform it? And how do you prove that you can do what you can do, right? And then it gives you a complete framework based on drawing from your story and your mission. It actually names your framework for you. And to me, this is valuable because sometimes we name things, but we don't have a reason why we name things other than it sounds cool. And if I were to fully demonstrate this from end to end, we would probably take about an hour because that's about how long the process would take on the quicker end. But if you're having a 3 a.m. moment or just want to take some time, spend a weekend really uncovering these 6 assets, you can absolutely do so with this tech. And then we have the book outline, which I love. It takes it from the story, the mission, the framework, and it takes it and it puts it into a sample book outline that you can either confirm, you can change, you can edit, or you can coach. So if you press the little coach button, you can talk through certain parts of your book, right? And it doesn't write your book for you, because I know that that is what a lot of people want, but what it does, it gives you that outline, that structure, so that when you're writing your book, the book has a logical flow to it. Like whatever thing that you're driving at is really solidified in the chapter so that you can bring the reader along with you. And we make sure to do that. So it's says what a specific moment or realize you understand the invisibility wasn't just about you, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not really going to read the demo content because the demo content is just that, it's demo content. But you can talk through certain chapters of the book. You can also edit the chapters too. And you can draft it, you can confirm it, you can save it. And then once you saved everything, from your framework, mission, your story beats. Now this is cool because now you have a talk outline. So if I asked you to give me a 15-minute speech, you may if you've ever been in Toastmasters, you know that there's a time limit, right? Or a speaking competition. So if you're speaking for 15 minutes, you got to make sure that you pace yourself appropriately for all of the points that you want to make. Same thing for 30, same thing for 60, right? And if you misappropriate the amount of time you have for a certain part of your story, you may end up rushing other parts. So this really keeps you on track based on the things that you told it that it was valuable to you. And then as you click through, as you kind of shift through, it will adjust the time for you. And of course, you have a coaching screen on the side. You have a coach button that brings up the chat, or like you have the chat right there. And then lastly, which is cool, is that now you can export and download all of these pieces. And you can have that on your computer, put on your Google Drive. And, for me, the way I think is put on your Google Drive, have your LLM, large language model, connect to your Google Drive, all these files, so that as you make new content, as you make new programs and new things, you have one source of truth that funnels back up into your story, mission, and framework. How cool is that? All right. I spoke a lot about this, but what I also want to talk about is not only the mechanics of the app, but the thought processes I had. Because the purpose of this demonstration is not to only talk about what the app has in it, but talk about the why I built it and how, like, my special sauce goes into developing something like this. One of the things that I found that was really crucial is making sure that number one, we give it enough context to work with. So if I'm working with someone and I'm working with Lisa, and I make sure that her context, which is proprietary, not showing you that, of course, but her context is part of this app, so it does not go off the rails. And if you ever use like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Copilot, whatever you fancy, right? You may notice that chats go off the rails all the time. And there are reasons for this. Number one, there is lack of context. You have to make sure that you provided enough context. You have to make sure that as you prompt, you also pay attention to how you want it, how you want the output to do, what you want it to do with the information that you're giving it. There's so much flavor and so much that I put into it. And if you just open up a regular chat and say, okay, here, this is my story, it might say, hey, great job. That sounds cool. Put it in a book. But it's not going to excavate. It's not going to push back and say, hey, that's surface level. Can you tell me more? Because in your context and your prompt, you're not asking it to, and you have no guardrails of when done is done. And that's what's all baked into this, right? So it's not only her proprietary methods, it's also my methods of making sure that her process is followed and her process is reflected accurately. Because it's one thing to just say, hey, I can build you an app, or I can just use ChatGPT for something, throw it together, put a logo on. But it's another thing to really sit down and explain, hey, we want to make something that is unseen right now that is so needed. And I use this for myself because getting to your own story is difficult when it's just you and your brain at 3 a.m. or whatever time it is. So this is just one of the things that I was able to do. And I'm really happy to show it off because a lot of times I don't disclose what I'm working on behind the scenes, and that's about to change too. So I have a couple of other things to show you guys in other videos, other recordings, like the agent team that I made that makes long form content into readily usable marketing assets, all within a push of a button. Maybe I'll show that, maybe. But I just wanted to show this. So if you are interested, I'll leave the link to storytospine.com. You can definitely check it out, take a look, and let me know what you think. Okay, so I also have some free goodies too. I have some free assessments if you're trying to figure out what's your place with AI in your organization or business. And Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So it has been a pleasure. Again, my name is Kimberly Inez Mays. I'm an AI educator and strategist helping mission driven leaders use AI with clarity, judgment, and confidence. And this was a workflow and a thing that I built. All right, take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.